Hey there, so here is our project on Photopea. So Photopea is a free web-based software that you can use in place of Photoshop. It looks very, very, very similar to Photoshop. If you look over here, we've got our tools, we've got our work area here, we've got our layers panel over here. So it all looks very familiar and very close to Photoshop. So how we're going to start is we're going to do File, Open, and we're going to go ahead and open up our plate. And this is a great little free software that allows you to open up Photoshop files and pretty much anything else. So I want to make this a little bit bigger so I can kind of see what we're doing. So Command++, Control++ to give us our background. You can see that the plate automatically created a layer for us. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that as background. I want to lock it in place to make sure it doesn't move, so I'm going to click the padlock there. Now I'm going to go ahead and open up my first layer, which is going to be my bread. There we go. Okay, and it's opened up on its own tab. It wanted to set up its own little background, but we want this to be on the plate. So in order for us to do that, what we have to do is we're going to go ahead and grab our selection tool up here, our move tool, and click the bread and then just drag it to the plate tab, and then the plate pops open and here's our bread, and then we're going to just go ahead and drop it there. So now you notice over here in the layers panel we have another layer with our bread on it. So we want to change this and name it. So we're going to go ahead and name it bread 1 because we're going to have a bread 2. So there's bread 1. Now we want to go ahead, we don't want this white background on it anymore, so we're going to get rid of that and go back over to our tools panel and select the magic wand tool. That tool is going to be hidden underneath a tool that looks kind of like a little kidney bean there, and we're going to click on it, select our magic wand, or we can use quick selection. Either one will work. Magic wand, grab here, and then we're just going to click in the white part. And if you zoom way in, you can see there's these little tiny little dots here. They call them dancing ants that show our bread is selected around the outside. Okay, but if we select just this, if we go ahead and add it, we're going to end up removing our bread and not our background. We want the bread selected and not the background. Right now we've selected the background. So we're going to go up to the top here and select inverse. Okay, and so now our bread is what's selected and not the background. We're not going to delete our background or erase it or anything like that. We're going to mask it off. And just like when you wear a mask, your face doesn't disappear or isn't eliminated. It's just hidden. That's the same thing with using masks in Photopea or Photoshop or any kind of photo editing software. So we'll go down here to the bottom of our layers panel, and we're going to click on the little rectangle with a circle in the center of it that looks like a camera or a Japanese flag, and we're going to go ahead and click on that, and that masks, covers up our background. Okay, so now we've got our bread without the background on it. We see over here in our layers panel that it's added another little thumbnail for our mask, and it's linked with the little chain link, so if we move one we've moved the other so that it doesn't mess things up and we see part of it or whatever. But we do need to click back over on the bread thumbnail, because otherwise when we start moving things around we're going to be moving the mask and not the bread, and that's going to mess up our project. Okay, so make sure that you are always clicked on whichever thing you are using. We want to make this a little bit smaller and rotate it a little bit. So I'm going to go up to the Edit panel here and scroll down to Transform and Scale. because we want to make this a little bit smaller. And I'm going to click on that, and we're going to have, you see all the way around, it's kind of made a box all the way around our entire project. We're going to grab the corner, we're going to hold shift so that we save our proportions, and then as we bring it in, it makes our bread smaller. We can make it super tiny if we wanted to. We can make it, I don't know, I think normal sized in proportion with our plate. Okay, so we've got that, and then we will just move it where we want to move it. Okay, I want to rotate it a little bit, so I'm going to go back up to edit and go ahead and transform and rotate. And now if I take my mouse outside of the corner there, and I can rotate it and rotate the bread just a little bit. I want to make sure that I am re-clicked on my move tool when I'm doing this stuff, because if we're still on our magic wand, it's going to kind of mess things up for us, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, so now I can move my bread wherever I want on the plate. We're in its own layer. If I was on the same layer with the plate, if I move the bread, the plate would move too. That's the beauty of having layers. Okay, so I've still got this line around the side, so I'm going to grab my eraser tool. If I can find it. Grab my eraser tool here and go over to the edges and kind of get rid of some of that stuff. So I would go all the way around. It's kind of hard to see on here. I would go all the way around and get the edges off of our background. Okay, so once that's done and I'm finished with it, which I'm not finished here, but you would do a little bit better job than that, you'd click back up on your move tool, and now I'm going to open up my next ingredient. So file, open. I'm going to grab my bacon, open that up, and now I have a bacon tab. I'm going to do the same thing. Get my move tool, grab the bacon, drag it over to the plate, and now that pops back up. Put it on here, and I'm going to select my bacon. So with the bacon, it hits the edge. So if I use my magic wand tool, I can only get a part of it at a time. So it doesn't select the entire thing. And and I go over here, it's only going to select that portion. So if I hold shift, I can select all the different parts of it and have it on here. And then I would do the same thing. If you ever mess up, Command Z or Control Z if you're on a PC. So the other thing that I could do is use the quick selection tool. I could go here and I can kind of paint on my area that I'm going to select and add it that way. Okay, so that's another possibility. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so we can see what we're doing a little bit better here. Other selection tools, we have the Lasso tool. We have the magnetic lasso select, and that can be kind of crazy and might drive you crazy while you're using it, but that's also a possibility. It kind of will go along your edge and kind of guess where you think the edge is going to be. The key with that is you're going to have to do lots of clicks all the way around, and then you have to end where you started. Okay, and it takes some time to really get the hang of this. I'm not doing it very well in the interest of time. I don't want to make a 30-minute video. So you kind of go around, get real close. And then go back to where you started. And when it does the dancing ant thing again, then you can see that you've made your selection. If you don't like that selection, Command D, Control D gets rid of your selection, and then you're set. Okay, and then remember, of course, that going back over here, we're going to relabel that bacon. So again, I would select the background, select inverse, and then get rid of my background, and then continue on there, move my bacon, resize it, scale it, the whole deal. The important thing that we need to do anytime we've done a bunch of stuff that we don't want to lose, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go up here, we're going to click File, and we're going to click Save As. So save as PSD. And we also need to rename it, which I did not do at that point, but we're going to rename it. You're going to do File, Save As, Your Name, Sandwich. So make sure you do that. We don't want to have a bunch of plate PSDs getting turned in because then we don't know what's what. But that's how you get started with Photopea on the sandwich project.